Business to Business Marketing, Chapter 3, Page 8. Supply Chain Implications. Return briefly to the Covisint opening example and recall this fourth of the four major issues that proved insurmountable. Covisint required all participants to give up their own systems, the way they buy, and adopt the system that Covisint developed. Customers of Covisint included both downstream clients, the major automobile companies, and upstream clients, suppliers to the major automobile companies, and the supply chain. Covisint was not a customer of any member of the supply chain. As a result, Covisint had very little, if any, leverage to persuade its client to follow the rules it established, particularly those that required clients to accept Covisint technology and systems as their system. Covisint made no effort to match the way their customers buy. Stage 4, Endgame. All of the prior activities has a purpose: to provide the buying organization with the products, materials, or capabilities necessary for the buying organization to reach its goals. Often, buying organizations formally evaluate purchase outcomes, and these are the criteria by which the outcomes are judged. Many firms will have standardized supplier audits or scorecards that compare all suppliers on the same criteria. Individual members of the buying center also evaluate the process, and the supplier after the purchase is in use. The needs at this point are the benefits that were anticipated to begin with. Along with this is a need for reasonable and usually predictable costs. The supplier that should use every opportunity to reinforce the validity of the buying center decision. Suppliers that continue to show an interest in the changing need of a buying center after the supplier has been selected are preparing for the next RFQ from the customer, as well as making it far more difficult for a competitor to encroach on the business. The quality with which the supplier meets the logistics needs described in the discussion of the delivery stage should be a positive influence in the business relationship, and suppliers should solicit feedback regarding these processes. The manner in which the supplier resells the job can be tangible evidence of otherwise unquantifiable factors that can make price less of an issue. The end game of a specific supply situation should also be the definition stage of the next, a natural flow in the involvement of the customer and supplier organizations. The degree to which this happens automatically is an indicator of the degree of success of the relationship viewed from either organization. Two examples of buying decision processes. Let's look at the hypothetical situations based on real situations to illustrate what happens in the buying process. The two examples represent the two ends of the spectrum. A straight rebuy on the one hand, shown in exhibits 3.4 and 3.5, 5, and a new task on the other, shown in Exhibits 3.6 and 3.7. For the straight rebuy, let us examine the purchase of office supplies by a small advertising agency. The need for the supplies is triggered when the office manager notices that some inventory levels are low. Maybe, though, they are a little more organized and the office manager places a monthly order. In either case, a problem is recognized. Office supplies need to be replenished, and the process starts. See Exhibit 3. The next step involves checking the inventory to see if some items have sufficient inventory or need an extra large order. The office manager may also ask someone in each department, example from the creative, media, traffic, account management, and administration departments, whether they have any special supply needs coming up soon. The order comes together and is typical of previous orders, except that one item is needed in larger than usual quantities. The office manager then make out his list of things to order. This represents the definition of need and definition of solution steps, and this stage is complete. Refer to Exhibit 3.3. Okay, let's see where Exhibit 3.3 is placed. Okay, we have it here. Process flow stages, definition stage, selection stage, deliver solution stage, and end game stage. Okay, now we have the definition stage took all of maybe an hour to complete. The next step is for the office manager's assistant to place the order. The assistant prepares a purchase order that is faxed to the agency's regular office supply dealer. The assistant follows up with an email message to the dealer's customer service representative that handles the ad agency account. The message verifies the unusual quantity of the particular item, as the supplier is likely to notice something out of the ordinary routine. That's the extent of the selection stage. Let us say that the dealer makes its own deliveries. 3 days after the order was placed, the delivery van shows up and drops off the supplies. The driver, along with the office manager's assistant, checks the packing list against the purchase order. The assistant signs off and the delivery stage is complete. In the end game, the invoice from the dealer is received and the agency's accountant pays the bill. Perhaps the dealer's customer service representative emails the office manager's assistant and checks to see whether the order was received with no problems. Perhaps the service representative also checks quickly to verify that no changes in procedure are expected for the next month's order. The office manager may make a cursory evaluation of the process to verify that the value received was satisfactory. If a problem has occurred during this process, the office manager will pay more attention to the evaluation. Some problems that might occur include an increase in prices, a slow delivery, the delivery of wrong items, the back ordering of some crucial items on the order, or a churlish attitude from the service people. Any one of these may cause the office manager to try to rectify the situation or to reopen a search for a new supplier. Discussion of examples. A few key points need to be highlighted in the straight rebuy example. Notice that the ad agency did not actually need the supplies at the time when the office manager determined that an order needed to be placed. Their need was for information of what supplies they were going to need in the coming month. Notice too that a selection of supplier was made very quickly. The office manager determined almost unconsciously that the agency would use its regular dealer. Again, at that point, the agency does not actually need the supplies. It needed only to have a reliable supplier chosen and an order easily placed by the end of this stage. In a straight rebuy, this part of the process is almost trivial, unless something has happened to cause the office manager to reevaluate whether the choice of supplier should be reopened. At the point in the process where the order was delivered, the agency still had not reached a point where it actually needed the supplies. Rather, its needs at this stage were on-time delivery, the right products received, and the convenience of the transaction. After the order has been received, all the actions in the endgame reinforced the routinization of the transaction and even progressed to reselling the job. The needs of the organization during this stage were the availability and usefulness of the office supplies, as well as reassurance that the same thing will happen in the future. Note that it was during this stage that the actual need for the products was realized. It was at this stage, too, that the price of the order was actually realized.